Thank you for coming to this webinar, and we are speaking about urban planning, housing, and resilience. And today we have three guests. The first two are Tit Tamaru and Marco Sommer. Tit is a professor of urban and population geography at the University of Tartu and Finland, and head of the chair of human geography and regional planning. Marco Sommer, I'm very sorry for bad pronunciation. Is a researcher and analyst at the Estonian Center for Applied Research. And finally, we have Hector Moreno. Moreno is professor and researcher at the University of Rovira and Virgili in Spain, and he is leading the UNESCO chair in housing. Finally, we have Elina of the EFI Center. And Elina will do some questions, but also Caterina Rondoni from the University of Ferrara. And just to remind a few information about the project Future Resilience, as the acronym and the word is saying, we are taking care about resilience in different domain, economic, social, urban resilience, and we built the experimentation phase with 10 future resilience labs. This, I think, is one of the most innovative aspects of this project. And some images about the project, and some facts and figures. There were the project was launching open call just to promote and finance labs. And there were 45 applications from 21 European Union countries, and then 7 labs were funded. You can see the amount of money, etc. And there are working 10 labs with more than 130 stakeholders, 40 workshops, and 5 thematic webinars, etc., etc., etc. And this was the methodological approach. We don't lose time to explain all the phases and the different steps of the labs and the project, of course. Some images about the labs, and some pillars. And it's important that if someone is interested in the website of the project, there are all the recorded webinar, a lot of materials, policy briefs, etc. And now we have, after this, we have two more results webinars in July 3rd and July 16th at the same time, and we hope to see you again. So I'm finishing with this very brief and rapid presentation, and we can start with the presentation of Tit and Marcus. Thank you very much. Okay.
Tit, you're muted.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for including us to this Future Resilience project. We have been very lucky to be part of this consortium. And what we did, we set up a multi-local lab in Estonia, and we did it together with University of Tartu that I'm representing, and Center, a think tank in Estonia. And our core team included 4 people and me, and Marco will then present the key findings of our lab. So to kick off, the multi-local lab focuses on new emerging trends. What do we see in the light of polycrisis, especially since the outbreak of COVID, and more broadly digital transition that have reshaped a lot of activities that we do both in physical as well as virtual space. And what we see is that many of our daily activities and decisions are more and more reshaped by the opportunities offered by the digital transition. And what we see is that there are some shifts in residential mobility of people. We see that the decisions by people and families have diversified on the one hand, and also digital transition has affected the work life. We see different forms of new working arrangements from remote work, hybrid working, co-working spaces. And it has also affected the ways we commute between home and work. And finally, we see that also people increasingly live not only different lives when it comes to work and at home, but also the way people use different homes and also have more homes than one since COVID in Estonia at least, and the way they use second homes has changed. For example, before the COVID, it was very usual that people who had an urban house, also a rural house, that was used only at summertime, seasonally. But since COVID outbreak, we see more and more use of the second homes throughout the year. So we have a lot of diversity in how people use physical and virtual space. And what we tried to understand, and what was maybe the most concrete thing, we wanted to understand how it also impacts the local municipalities, their budgets, public services, and we developed one tool that Marco will present more specifically for you today. So our lab was set up and we followed the methodology that was proposed by the consortium. So we first diagnosed and framed our problem, identifying the governance challenges related to new residential mobility and multi-local perspective. And we did it in our case study area, that is Tartumaa. Tartu is the second biggest city in Estonia, and the county that is surrounding Tartu was our case study area. So we developed the approach together with our stakeholders. I will show them in a minute. And what we did is that we developed 3 different scenarios. So we discussed them through several workshops and iterative rounds. And we also then developed one prototype that we will introduce soon. So we were really happy that many stakeholders took interest toward this multi-local lab, both local municipalities as well as the municipality associations and ministries of Estonia. So we had a really nice setup of stakeholders with whom we could discuss all the challenges and policy responses during the project period. And a few empirical insights as well of what is going on. So we have the clear rise in multi-local living arrangements. First of all, we see that the municipalities that are now green within the red box are growing. These are the suburban municipalities surrounding Tartu city. So the people are dispersing more and more away from the city. And very often it's just the place of residence that is changed. So it comes along with the rise of commuting. And when it comes to commuting, then commuting flows intensified significantly. And also since 2021 as well, so the darker the green, the more commuters we have. And then we see that the commuting flows are significantly growing And since COVID, as said, we have more hybrid types of moves where people maybe they still go extensively from rural areas and suburban areas to the city of Tartu, but not on a daily basis. Also, we see that more and more people have second homes in our case study area, and these are mainly, quite surprisingly, still located quite close to the city, but also in the more distant municipalities. We see that the number of the second homes has increased, and as said, they are not only used seasonally anymore, but also throughout the year, for example, extending the weekends and so on. So together with the stakeholders, I'm sorry, some slides are in Estonian. We went through the steep analysis in going through all the factors that may be important in shaping the multi-local life, ranging from the social, technological, economic, environmental, and policy-related factors. And out of these discussions, 8 factors surfaced as the most important ones, and these are here listed to you. And what you also do see is that some of the factors are boldened, and these are the factors that also are most strongly related to all other factors. And then these are the key 5 kind of factors or issues that our stakeholders consider to be the most important when it comes to understanding the multi-local life and how and what kind of challenges it poses to local governance. Not quite surprisingly, the first of them is security. And when it comes to security, the main problem is that as people live in multi-local lives and they are sharing the lives in between multiple locations, between multiple municipalities, when we have a threat situation, the problem is that we don't know exactly where which people are at this point of time. And that is one very key issue. And it also relates to many other problems listed here. And the other especially important factor that surfaced was everything that relates to mobility. Of course, if people live multi-local lives, they are sharing their lives between different municipalities. The issue of transport and mobility is highly important. And many other factors or topics related to these, like service organization and also the financial planning of the different municipalities who share people between them. And out of these factors, these 5 factors are now the columns here on this slide. We developed 3 different scenarios that we worked with. And the 3 scenarios that we came across with were as follows. The first relates to the increased digital development, the progression of the digital transition as more and more services go virtual and people undertake more and more activities virtually, from work to shopping and so on. And what this scenario was related to was some kind of a fragmentation also in space, as maybe people get spatially a bit more immobile as they do their activities in the virtual space. And what was maybe the biggest problem to address in this scenario is that many rural areas where we have also lots of elderly people who are aging, we face a problem that maybe some people get digitally excluded and need a special attention. The second scenario that we discussed was rising tensions. This could be related to the war, but many other risks that may rise tensions. And in this scenario, what we discussed was that this could probably lead to more top-down types of collaborations, where also the state and higher level governance levels have an important role. But we are facing this problem that all this crisis could also deepen the inequalities and how to between the municipalities and how to overcome this. And the third scenario that we discussed was also considered the most realistic or most likely one. And it's kind of a continuation of the trend we already see at the moment of this diversification of the living arrangements, a more bottom-up type of development and collaboration, also between the municipalities, as people split their time between city and countryside. And here the main issue is maybe to understand, on the one hand, the family perspective, as different family members, like spouses and parents and children, have different use of the space, and also they use it differently between the municipalities. So how to really cater the needs, both from the family perspective on the one hand, and then the municipality perspective on the other hand. And we tested different policy solutions together with our stakeholders. And two of these solutions were considered to be important in case of all three scenarios. And the first one relates to the more integrated mobility issues, how to better arrange the mobility between the municipality and maybe to bring digital solutions into this. And the other highly discussed topic relates to the income tax distribution between the multiple municipalities that share the people. And from this was born also one of the concrete tools that we will introduce now, and then Marco will now take over. So please, Marco, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. My name is Marko Sõmer, and I'm from Center, that's Estonian Center for Applied Research. And in the next few minutes, I will introduce you the tool or application we developed together with Tiit and his team. And the tool is basically for estimating and simulating local government tax revenue. You can see it on the screen. Unfortunately, the format of the presentation don't allow to show it live, but actually it's up and running, and you can all check it out. The link or address, the link is down in the corner. Unfortunately, it's in Estonian, so it would be quite difficult maybe to understand all of it without knowing Estonian. But yeah, maybe should move the slides. Yep. What is this tool? Well, the main goal of this application is to help municipalities to plan and forecast their budget revenues based on changing demographics. And basically it combines demographic forecasting with income-based tax modeling, because personal income tax is the main source for revenue for municipalities. It's not the only source, but it's the main one. So local governments can see in one dashboard how forecasted the demographic profile translates into future revenues. And also, what is even more important, they can see how some policy choices or some external shocks maybe will change the tax basis and therefore the future revenue. There are three main building blocks in that model or application. First, there is population projections at the municipality level. These came from Tiit and his team, so I'm not gonna go into those in detail. Next block is income distribution profiles. We used several administrative data sets, most importantly tax and customs board, and we used them to determine for each municipality their age-specific taxpayers profile. So basically, how many workers, pensioners, etc., there are in each age group in each municipality, and then computed the age-specific income distribution profiles for those taxpayers groups. We categorized employed individuals into blue-collar and white-collar workers. We also accounted for other income recipients, such as those receiving parental benefits, and also included pensioners who actually form a significant part of the taxpayers. And in some municipalities, they are even, well, not the main group, but quite significant nevertheless. And finally, we also incorporated some macroeconomic assumptions. We used long-term economic forecasts for GDP and wage growth, and therefore grounded our municipality level forecasts within wider context of national economic outlook. And the revenue projection itself is actually quite simple. For any future year, we first look at the demographic forecast to see how many people there are in each age group in a specific municipality. The next, we based on the municipality's historical taxpayer structure, we allocated those people into our taxpayers categories. For example, we determined what percentage of, let's say, 40 to 45-year-olds are likely to be white collars. And then we apply the average income coming from those predetermined income profiles. We applied them for each specific group to calculate the total taxable income base. And finally, we applied the municipal income tax rate and computed the revenue from all those small groups, sum those up, and produce a total tax inflow for that year. So perhaps the most important feature of this tool is actually its simulation capabilities. That allows users to simulate different scenarios and test their policy choices, etc. So basically ask those what if questions. For example, you can simulate a shift in the job market. What happens to revenue if there's a increase in white collar jobs? Or you can change the workforce participation. What's the financial impact of the policy that brings more people to the workforce? Or tweak economic assumptions. If for different groups there are different wage growth levels. Or finally, you can also simulate demographic shifts. What would happen to the revenue if people are moving into or out of the municipality based on some policy or some new employer or whatever. Yeah, and I think that is all about that application, and I give the word back to Tiit now.
Yeah, thank you. Indeed, the tool is very nice and works well, but we couldn't show it exactly at the moment. But it allows what is important to simulate indeed the different policy scenarios, which was one of the core topics in the multi-local lab. So what to say as a conclusion is that the challenge that multi-local lab then faced with is this sharing of the life of people between different municipalities. It is indeed one of the big challenges that the municipalities have to somehow face. And what the lab showed that there is a great need to strengthen the collaboration between the municipalities in the Tartu region. And the two areas where this collaboration is explicitly needed were mobility and tax-related issues. And that's why we also worked out one of the digital tools that would help to develop some evidence-based solutions when it comes to municipality-related taxes. And thank you so much for having us in this project.
Thank you very much, Tiit. Thank you very much, Marco. It was really interesting, and this is a very critical issue. As you know, when speaks about taxation, people usually go crazy, but this is very fundamental topic. So I'm sorry with the participants, because before the presentation of Tiit and Marco, I forgot to say that if you wish and if you like, you can write some question in using the question and answer button, and after just because I forgot, if someone wish to make some answer to Tiit or Marco about their presentation, please you can do that just now. If no, Elina, do you want to make some answer? Some question? I'm sorry.
I will have questions to both labs at the end, so I'll do my intervention then.
Okay. So we can give the floor to Hector and for his presentation, and then please, if you like, use the button Q&A and then after the presentation of Hector, we can just discuss this topic. Hector, please.
Okay, I'm sharing. I don't know if you can see the slides.
Everything is black once again.
Black?
Yeah.
No. So maybe Matthias, you can just
yes. Let me just try.
Sure.
Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so I will tell you where to show when to show to pass to the next slide. Okay. So what everyone? Good morning, everyone. So first of all, I want to thank the Future Resilience Project for organizing this webinar, for choosing us as one of the pilots, and it has been a pleasure, for us working with you all. So let's hope, we continue collaborating in the future. So you can see here the team. I'm Hector Simon. I'm the project leader. I'm the director of the UNESCO Housing Chair here at the University Rovira i Virgili here in Tarragona, Spain. And also we have worked with Dr. Padequena, who leads the Center of Housing Law, Rights and Policy at the University of Galway in Ireland. And you can see here the rest, members of the team, Sergio Nasarre, well-known researcher in the field of housing, Aspar Ekena, Nuria Lambea, Gemma Caballé, the deputy director nowadays of the chair, also Maripalo Rodriguez Liébano, and Santi Ariste and Irene Suau, who helped us to organize, the co-creation sessions that have taken place throughout the project. And next slide, please. So what the Liquid Housing Lab is about? Well, the lab aims to provide empirical evidence, raise awareness, and propose solutions to address the complexity of the liquid housing phenomenon in the city of Tarragona, a concept stemming from this crisis, the global financial crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, the inflation crisis, meaning that households are increasingly suffering from over-indebtedness in Spain and in other European countries due to the unaffordability of housing in urban areas. So in Spain, instead of pushing forward affordable and as much distributed as possible home ownership, for 18 years, Spain has opted for weaker titles, for the less affluent households. Thus, the line between what real housing is, once clear in terms of title, stability, quality, and adequacy, and what is just provisional shelter is now becoming increasingly blurry. So as a result, the Liquid Housing Lab is characterized by the idea that almost anything today can be considered adequate housing. So it addresses these various forms of liquid housing, meaning squatting, forced shared rooms, overcrowding, substandard housing, also vacant dwellings on the local level. It's a challenge seen across Europe, impacting the right to housing and human dignity. And some of these types of liquid housing are cases of hidden homelessness, according to the FEANZA ethos typology, which includes all those people who live in public institutions, who are at risk of evictions, who are in situation of domestic violence, who lives in temporary or non-conventional structures or in a home without habitable conditions, or in precarious dwellings. So these all could lead to social conflicts, to social unrest, to an increase in inequalities, it might have an impact on the economic well-being of individuals. It could also, there may be problems in family formation, fertility, impact on the property market, an increasing number of evictions and homelessness. So it affects the society as a whole. So the lab focuses precisely on these types of liquid housing, yeah, and try to raise awareness and identify the factors behind the reality and propose policy solutions. Yeah. Next slide, please. So there are a number of challenges that arise from this liquid housing phenomenon. First of all, a right balance, between the human right to housing and the right to private property must be found, in the sense that housing is the only good in the whole world that is a human right and an economic asset. Yeah, and, at the same time, so it must be taken into account that these both sides, yeah, of the same coin. So diminishing our vulnerability, yeah, to the liquid housing phenomenon requires a shift, right, in social, political, and economic values in order to achieve a good balance between both approaches in order to make cities affordable for everyone. Also, the specific features of vulnerable groups, of the groups involved, migrants, tenants, women, young people, must be taken into consideration as housing exclusion disproportionately affects specific groups. And also we have here the problem of the scope of action of public policies at the local level, and then the resources they have in order to address this issue, as it must be taken into account that here in Spain, autonomous communities, the regions hold the main competences on housing, which explains the low involvement of municipalities in the management of public aid for the promotion and acquisition of housing. And lastly, we have a problem of data, the lack of reliable data on the liquid housing phenomenon, because it's a hidden homelessness phenomenon. We have data, of course, available. For instance, it is estimated that almost 80,000 homes in Spain are squatted. According to Eurostat, around 6% of the population in Spain live in overcrowded housing, a situation that has increased since 2019. But the problem is that at the local level, there is no data. Of course, social services so provide help, provide aids, try to address the situation at the local level, but they have only a partial vision of the whole figure. Yeah. So how they have been addressed these challenges? We have tried to involve partners from different aspects, from different institutions with different visions on the housing issue. This has allowed the discussions to find the right balance between housing as a human right, as a financial asset, which is necessary for the viability and success of housing policies in the long term. We conducted also a survey in the beginning of the project in order to raise awareness about the liquid housing phenomenon in the city of Tarragona, and we tried to select, to find several and different policies, because we are going to see in a minute there are a variety of factors behind this phenomenon of hidden homelessness. So a holistic approach to this issue is necessary. Yeah. Next slide, please. So following the methodology of the project, the Future Resilient Project, so we dedicated the first month of the project to collect quantitative empirical evidence through the survey and qualitative data to design so these research surveys and individual interviews with relevant stakeholders were carried out, and we try to we involve not only stakeholders but also vulnerable individuals, experiences inadequate or substandard housing. So we had interviews with them in order to have first-hand information about this right in Tarragona. And we organize, we conduct a survey, and the findings show that 1/3 of respondents report the presence of these types of hidden homelessness in Tarragona. And we also asked the members of the condominium boards in Tarragona, and the perception of these members of these homeowners or condominiums association boards, the perception was lower than the general respondents. I think that it was because the respondents share their views about the existence of these phenomena in the area, and the members just focus on what was happening inside the condominium, within the building. But at least we showed that this is a reality in Tarragona. Of course, we have to work more on collecting more reliable data in the future, and we will talk about this later. We have organized 3 workshops, just following the methodology of the project. The first one aimed to discuss in focus group the underlying factors that may explain the naked housing phenomenon. Then the second workshop focused on the development of scenarios, combining the factors, projections elaborated in the first workshop. And in the third workshop, we just tried to find the policies that can prepare us for the future, and build resilience in this topic, And then also we talk with the local authority to assess the feasibility of the implementation of such policies at the local level. Next slide, please. As you can see here, in order to identify the factors behind the reality, and in order to identify the possible policies to be implemented, so we have used a wide range of sources, policies from the knowledge database of the Future Resilience Project, but also we check other European initiatives, other European projects, such as this promoting protection of the right to housing, homelessness prevention in the context of evictions, a project that was awarded in 2016, and also the other reports from European institutions, such as the ones from FEANSA, Fundación Pierre, FOES in Spain. This also the Spanish government issued 4 years ago this España 2050. There's Spain 2050. The idea was to collect from the academia, different solutions to be resilient, in the long term, and there was one chapter focusing specifically on on housing and territory. So we adopted we implemented some policies from this report, and also we had the stakeholder feedback on this on the factors and policy designs, and we look for also we took into account all the regional and third sector initiatives in Spain. So next slide. As I've mentioned before, the idea is that we try to involve all organizations in the housing sector in Tarragona that had something to say about housing. So we succeeded in involving a diverse group of stakeholders, including public authorities, NGOs, professional bodies, and academic institutions. You can see here these foundations on a need, Binke, Caritas, working daily with people affected by this hidden homelessness. But not only academia, but we succeeded in involving this, the housing developers, the college of property managers, the Chamber of Urban Properties, neighborhood associations. And so the idea was we distributed these partners and participants within these different focus groups so that this has allowed the discussions to find the right balance between housing a human right and as a financial asset. Next slide, please. So we tried to identify in the first workshop the factors behind the problem of homelessness, and we identified these different factors: the absence of a coherent multi-level housing policy, the personal and socio-demographic characteristic of these people in the situation, the insufficient income to cover the costs associated with tenure, the insufficient public resources, the low educational level of the people in the situation, the bureaucracy and digitalization. For instance, the difficulties in accessing aids related to housing, the problems stemming from being in an irregular administrative situation. For instance, immigrant populations sometimes that are in this situation, and the lack of family support and solidarity networks, in the sense that maybe single person families, so after a divorce or just migrants, maybe they don't have this social network to rely on. And in the first workshop, next slide, we asked the participants to rank, to see whether which factors were the more relevant, were the more the ones that had the more impact on the problem, and the ones that had more uncertainty in the long term. So you can see that the lack of a coherent multi-level policy, along with these personal and socio-demographic characteristics, were identified as the factors with the highest impact and uncertainty, and in contrast, other factors such as the irregular legal status or the lack of family support and solitary networks were considered to have had impact but low uncertainty in the long term. And others, such as the low educational attainment and these bureaucratic obstacles and digitalization, were identified as factors with medium impact and uncertainty. So taking this as a starting point, next slide, please. We asked participants in the second workshop just to draw this, to think about future scenarios, taking the evolution of all these factors jointly considered. And you can see in the left column the different projections identified for each factor. The factors are organized according to the impact and uncertainty. And so the participants were asked to begin with the projection, one projection of the multi-level housing policy, and then choose, according to this selection, the evolution of the rest of the factors involved. And just to mention that 4 scenarios were developed, were curated, and the first 2 ones are similar. They consider 5 out of 7 factors to evolve in the same way. This is why the evolution in both a scenario of the multi-housing level policy of the first factor is clearly negative. I don't know if you can see well, but the idea is that everything goes worse in these first factors with that have that influence the selection of the rest of projection. So if the first evolution of the first factors is negative, then the other ones are also negative. So scenario 1 and 2 show greater invisibility and social exclusion, a greater percentage of vulnerable groups without access to housing and in situation of hidden homelessness, an increase in the current profiles, so that the group susceptible to falling into a situation of hidden homelessness increases. It shows an impact on the formation of new families, with a special rebalanced birth rate, a lower rate of job emancipation, negative impact on family units, and so on. Yeah. So the participants argued that the precarization of housing affects all groups, across the spectrum. So they differ just in the evolution of two factors, for instance, in the bureaucracy and digitalization, but the both just depict the same future, for the year 2040. Next slide, please. Is the second scenario. You can see more or less that the evolution is the same. And next slide, please. So the evolution here is different because then the more relevant factor, housing policies, evolves in a positive way. So everything, the whole scenario is more friendly. It's more positive. So there is an increase in the budget. Efficient laws are drafted, promulgated. There is a better coordination among the public administrations. It helps to improve bureaucracy. There are more facilities for access to the labor market. So this scenario evolves in a positive way. Just to say that, just to point out that we ask the participants to put a title on each scenario. And for instance, in the first one, they choose this title, "See You in the Park Bench," in the park, and the precariousess of housing in all social sectors. And this scenario was entitled "The Illusion of Reaching 2040." Next slide, please. And the last scenario, the fourth one, just that we have no time. We had no time to create another one. What it was created was developed by the local team to provide also a different perspective from the scenarios discussed in the focus group. So this scenario begins with another projection. It focused more on climate change and has affected the ability of homes, which, due to a lack of rehabilitation, led to climate-induced migration among people experiencing hidden homelessness. Housing availability worsens, reducing a sharp increase in poorly maintained housing. And so the situation triggers several social consequences. There's a rise in violence, growing public dissatisfaction, a steady deterioration of the public housing stock, including more squatting, eviction, and so on. And we just summarize this scenario as follows: the importance of adequate housing. So next slide, please. So after developing this scenario in the second workshop, the third one focused on finding policy solutions. We have used these wide range of sources that I pointed out before, and these are the list of policy solutions and brief policy descriptions and the source of inspiration. So there are several policies. You can see here, for instance, the first one: fiscal framework, diversity of housing tenures, promoting co-living initiatives, mobilization of empty housing, budget increase. Next slide, please. Cooperation between organizations at local level, specialized advice on housing, and observatory on hidden homelessness, to better understand the reality of the problem, in the city, promote social, cultural, and political participation, implement measures against eviction. Yeah, it's important not only to adopt effective remedies when you lose your home, but also it's important to adopt preventive measures in this regard. Next slide, please. Next slide, Matthias. Thank you.
I move it already.
Oh, okay, but I
11 to
don't see
15.
the. Okay, maybe it take a. Okay. Housing as a subjective right, the role of third sector entities, education and training resources, registration policy, and because sometimes it's difficult for migrants to be registered in the municipal registration registry. The strengthening of these collaboration networks. Next slide, please. Reduce the digital divide, implementation of a protocol for young people and the guardianship. When they reach the majority of age, then they have problems to find a house, to find work, and so on. Centralization of services, in the municipality, because sometimes there are different departments involved. The role of property managers in identifying the homelessness phenomenon in each building, in each condominium, and it's wrong. There's no the 17 should be a 21, which is the territorial cohesion. Yeah, I think that the dialogue between urban areas and rural areas should be taken into account. Next slide, please. I'm running out of time. Just to say that we ask the participants in each scenario to answer whether each policy may work. Yeah, in each scenario. More or less, the ones that are considered the structural ones just are the same in each scenario. But in scenario C, as I've mentioned, it evolves in a more positive way. So maybe some policies that in a negative scenario are structural must be implemented. Then in a scenario C, more positive. So maybe they have a more they are supporting strategies. They are not considered as structural as the other ones. Next slide. So just to mention that some policies are identified as I mentioned, structural, the tax policy, diversity in land tenures, mobilization of empty homes, increase the budget. Yeah, they also ask the participants to be more concrete. Yeah, to say okay, tax policy, but to what extent? We have to benefit home ownership. We have to focus on access to housing, to foster the condition of these tenants, and they provide the feedback. Next slide. Other policies, structural policies, is observatory and hidden homelessness, the role of third sector entities, the registration policies, decentralization of services. Next slide. Other policies were identified as play a secondary or supporting role. This is specialized housing advice, the needed for these collaboration networks to be implemented, this awareness campaign, this protocol for young people in care. Next slide. And there was some discussion about certain policies. For instance, housing as a subjective right. It was considered maybe that not necessary. There is no resources. Not even if you go to the court and ask for a house, you won't receive a house because there is no money, enough money to build houses, and what's considered to be a mere declaration of intentions rather than a tangible measures. And then other measures such as this promotion of coexisting initiatives, the promotion of social, cultural, and political participation, and trying to reduce this digital divide. And so they were considered okay, maybe they are suitable, they are okay, maybe implemented, but they are not, they are vaguely related to the homelessness phenomenon. Next slide, I'm finishing. So conclusion is, housing is a basic pillar of welfare state, as a necessary condition for the development of other fundamental rights, such as privacy, education, human dignity, or health. So hidden homelessness is a failure. It's a failure of housing policies. Also homelessness. So the types of liquid housing may have social, economic, political, environmental implications for society. Because there are a variety of factors behind the reality. That there are a variety of consequences. So societal resilience field involves not only providing affordable housing and security of tenure to those affected by liquid housing, but to everyone also. But also empowering and educating them with relevant socioeconomic skills. It is not only house. Right? I mean, the skills in order to find a work, education skills, and so on, and addressing their needs holistically through public authorities. No, there is no easy solution to complex problems. Next slide. So we have learned through the process that having partners from different perspectives is key. It's so important to have these different perspectives, different visions, but it's important to inform them well about the process, about the methodology, about the fact that we are going to sit down next to people that think completely the opposite. It's important to take control of the discussions in focus groups. Members of the team must be there, just allowing a profitable discussion. I think it's important to have these already created networks of cooperation within the municipality. In our case, a housing council was already created before the project. In fact, we just recommended, a few years ago, its constitution. So it's easier to get these partners involved. If there are already a body created at the municipal level just focusing on the same topic. Just thanks the mentors' involvement. I think Fernando from Murcia is connected, is online. So because the mentor role is essential. In guiding the project. So it's not only just training session, but it's important to have this ongoing support throughout the project. And last slide. And we try to just test these policy, different policy solutions at the local level. So we organized a conference in just 3 weeks ago to make the results of the project more visible to the institutions and to the general public. And also within the Tarragona Housing Council, they decided just last week to create a working group, so that they will focus specifically on the handling homelessness in the city. So now handling homelessness is on the municipal agenda. So we will try to implement the results of the project. So once it comes to an end. So this is all. Sorry, because it's 2 minutes ahead the schedule. So if you have any answer, we'll be delighted to any question, and we'll be delighted to answer. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Hector, for this amazing job you did. Very, very interesting. I can confirm that, at least for Italy, the affordable housing policy is one of the main social and political topic today. And this is because 30 years of neoliberal policies. This is because the European Union austerity policy, and this is a real, hot problem today in many Italian cities, not only the biggest, but also the medium-sized cities, and this will be a problem of taxation, a problem of welfare, and fortunately, yesterday you avoided to contribute to the Europe rearm policy, and with the 5% of the GDP, and probably you will have more money for your affordable housing policy in respect to Italy. So this was just a comment, and now I leave the floor to Elina, and then for question from participants. Thank you very much, Hector.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, indeed, Marco and Hector, for the presentations. I really enjoyed the in-depth view and your take on the insights. So captures all the insights you captured and the things you gathered through the process. I think both labs have tackled the really liquid phenomena. So new residential patterns and the mobility housing exclusion. So it's a phenomenon flux, and I think both of labs have done a tremendous job in making sure that we have more empirical evidence, both quantitative and qualitative, but also we have a sort of a opportunity to raise awareness about these phenomena, and then also co-create through participatory processes tailored policy solutions to these phenomenon flux. So my deepest congratulations to both labs. I think you've really done a tremendous job, and it will be very, very important for framing future policies and also thinking about the subjects in the future. I think that is only up and coming and will be important internationally. My questions relate mostly to the policy, the follow-up policy actions for increasing resilience, because this will be also the focus of future resilience in the remainder of the project. And when we talk about policy actions usually are driven by perceptions and certain problems or certain opportunities that policymakers want to exploit. So both labs have created sort of these rich platforms with where the perception of these problems and the opportunities to solve various challenges are actually explored in depth. And I think it's a fantastic moment to look at what processes could help instigate concrete policy actions for increasing societal resilience. So I have 3 questions for both labs. One of the questions would be, because perceptions and policymaker perceptions and key stakeholder perceptions are driven by existing data and existing what they know about the phenomenon. So both labs cater new evidence. So my question is, have you seen specific moments where the policymakers or stakeholders were surprised by the data you provided, perhaps maybe by tinkering with a new tool that Multilocal developed, or through the merging of quantitative and qualitative data that you've done, something that triggered mostly policymakers, but also stakeholders, because triggers are moments when also policy action is sort of, they have energy for policy action. So that's one question. Any moments of surprise from your activities and from the data you provided to stakeholders? The second 2 questions relate to scenario building. So first question because scenario building is really about creating common narratives, not of sort of visualizing the alternative futures together, which is an interesting exercise on its own. So my question, how did your stakeholders, and specifically more specifically the policymakers, local policymakers, perceive this scenario building exercise and scenario building efforts? Were they comfortable, well versed? Was it sort of a surprise? Were they energized by this? What were the basically takeaways from going through this process? And last thing, many of the policy actions specifically tackling such cross-sectoral challenges as related to societal resilience are hindered not only by lack of our understanding what should we do, but rather by the need to create cross-sectoral alliances, because these are usually cross-sectoral solutions that need to be deployed, and they run across different departments and different organizations. So my question is, has the scenario building exercise anyhow, have you seen any signs they provided sort of impetus for this cross-sectoral collaboration in the future? Because if the scenario building is about envisioning a common future, by definition, it should also have the impetus for really working also cross-sectorally to address the problem. So have you seen any rudimentary signs that this actually has helped, and how in general the stakeholders have perceived this co-creation and a participatory process for tackling the challenges you presented and the issues you digged into? So that's maybe to both to Tiit and to Hector, maybe your reflections on these topics.
Yeah,
Okay.
We can do it in the order. Which order will do it?
You can start, Tiit, maybe
Okay.
in the order of presentations.
Okay, so thank you. The first question was about the surprise moment regarding the evidence. Maybe what was surprising is that when we developed this tool that combines the long-term demographic trends and then the long-term economic trends, that how the differences between municipalities start to increase, and the advantages and the disadvantages they accumulate hugely over time. And we see that the tax, if nothing is changed, that the tax base of the suburban municipalities and more remote municipalities, it will go in an opposite direction. And I think that's something eye-opening, that these differences really will increase. And if we want to do something with these regional disparities, we have to do something with the tax base. But indeed, Franz also said that, I mean, on the other hand, doing something with the tax base is always the biggest challenge as well. So we have brought this topic that we should try to maybe think how to divide the income tax between the municipalities to the agenda. It's now actively discussed, but what we see that the higher policy level we move, the more resistance we receive for this idea. I mean, people who are closely linked to the topic, they really understand that something has to be done, but the higher we move, the more resistance we also feel. But I at least hope that as the problems can continue to accumulate, I mean, the problem is taken more seriously also in the upper policy levels. When it comes to the two questions regarding the scenario building, I think the process was really well organized and well thought through by the lead partner. We were also happy that Elina was also with us in the first workshops, and we got things nicely moving. So I wouldn't say that there was anything uncomfortable. I think everything worked nicely. Of course, you always have to explain as each workshop started what is exactly expected. So it took a bit of time to understand the concrete problem we had at this concrete day. But otherwise, I would say that it was really very well working method. Also detecting the scenarios. It wasn't very. I mean, it took time to understand it, but once it was there, we were able to get this nice discussion of the scenarios as well. Yeah, I can't say anything really uncomfortable or negative. And when it comes to the cross-sectional cooperation, here I can't say anything specific. Maybe that was a bit related to the fact how we organized our activities, because we had mainly people dealing with the spatial dimension. So I think the main achievement was that we had rather this cross-governance levels cooperation rather than cross-sectoral cooperation. And we had different levels from municipality associations, ministry. I mean, they were all involved, and I think this kind of cross-governance level cooperation really worked nicely. And I think we all got to the same understanding of the problem and what are the possible routes out of it. Yeah, I stop from here from my side.
Hector?
Okay, so regarding this, if they were surprised, I don't think so, right? Because the problems, the handling homelessness appears on TV each single day. Huh? We are seeing these squatting cases, people that are forced to share rooms, inside the same dwelling. So people, even in politicians, are somehow they know what's going on. So it didn't come as a surprise, but we had to. Now they are more conscious about that. They are more aware. So this is why I guess now this topic is on the municipal agenda, because everyone knows more or less that this exists, but there is no official data. But thanks to the project, we just we raise awareness of this, so they are more conscious on this, and even the rest of the institutions involved, because each one just focus on its own activity. Foundations and the property managers and developers and neighborhood associations, just that they don't have time, to interact, with other institutions. And in fact, this project, the focus groups just help these people to have these interactions for the first time, So we had in one table just one representative from the housing developers, from foundation, dealing with homeless people, helping them. Another representative from social services of the municipal authority, another one from the Chamber of Properties, completely opposite views. And in drawing these scenarios, yes, they think they all perceive the necessity to take action. I think that they all perceive that they were part of the solution, because this topic, there is no easy solution for these complex problems. So these are complex problems. So everyone, municipal authority, local authority, associations, foundations, professional bodies, everyone has something to say and something to do, must do something, to must contribute to find a solution to this problem. So I don't think they were comfortable drawing the scenarios. Maybe the positive one was okay, but the sensation at the end of the workshop was disgusting. I mean, they didn't feel well. They feel okay. We must do something. And the problem is that actually some of the scenarios, the first two ones, that are more negative. I mean, they are a reality yet, already. I mean, so they didn't feel comfortable at the end of the workshop, which is good. And which was the last one? This this cross-sector alliances. I think that they all were conscious about the need to collaborate, and this is why they repeat it actually, because the first workshop we just lasted 4 hours, and after 4 hours say, okay, we expected to listen, but we have been working during the 4 hours, and they repeated the second and the third workshop, and they attended the conference we held in last May, and so they understand in the methodology of the project, in know what is going on. So we'll see if this work group created within this Tarragona Housing Council, so we'll find solutions on the topic, but will be the way for these institutions to continue collaborating.
Thank you very much. Elena, do you have any other question?
No, I wanted to thank for the answers, and I give floor to anybody who has additional questions. I have lots of interesting questions about the tool, but there I need a coffee with tea sometime at the final event in Estonia.
Yes. I don't know if there are questions.
It seems that from the audience there aren't, but maybe I can ask a question to both of them. And it's general, and it's more related to multidisciplinarity and approach, maybe, and also the complexity that the two topics that you were talking about. If you can share with us your experience on maybe collect like data so different, and which were the obstacle to do that, and also if there are some tips that you can give us about facing this complexity and facing like different data in a multidisciplinary perspective that we can maybe use for like future project.
Maybe I can ask one clarification question before answering. So with the data, you mean the data that you collected through the workshops or other sources or everything related to the project?
I will say in general, like, yes, to the lab, if you have this experience or like different kind of information that you collect, it was difficult to put it together, because I will say that especially when we work on human rights or in general on topics that are so complex like housing, we face like a different pattern of information that sometimes have difficulties to speak among each other. So if you face these difficulties, if you face some obstacle like that, and how you react to like create a common narrative on housing.
But I think the key word in our case is triangulation, by meaning that we try to use different sources and then create a common kind of evidence base and a narrative out of this. And we are privileged in this sense that we in Estonia have the register-based census, and we have very good already digital tools that allow us to create this like a background information about the situation when it comes to multi-local living arrangements and where people live and work and then the second homes. And so we have quite a good, like a quantitative evidence base for that. And then through the workshops, we discussed this with the stakeholders, and then made the additional analysis. So the kind of triangulation was I think the keyword. And we didn't encounter any real obstacles. I think with this process, what is the key to the success, that you get stakeholders involved rather than data in our case. And we were really happy that this both the kind of context, this whole resilience project on the one hand, and our own topic as well, attracted enough stakeholders so that we had this nice series of workshops. We didn't lose people on the way, so that was for us really good. But probably it depends how urgent the problem is as well. Hector, I will give birth to you.
Okay, so actually we had problems in collecting data, because the problem with the people living suffering this hidden homelessness is that it is because it's hidden. I mean, people that are squatting or that are sharing rooms, they don't appear on official statistics. Huh? So talking with the local municipality, they told us that it made no sense to go to any building and just ask, you are a squatter. It made no sense. So we decided to elaborate, to create these surveys, and they were disseminated by the neighborhoods associations from Tarragona, the ones that could get to these people suffering this homelessness. And also we disseminated the survey to the members of the condominiums through the College of Property Managers out Tarragona. So we had this obstacle in collecting data. Actually, we wanted to collect more data on this, but this is somehow implicitly to the hidden homeless phenomenon. Yeah, these people doesn't appear on official statistics, and we had this problem collecting data. And just about these resources, and just from our side, just maybe 3 tips. The first one is having a diversity of resources, interviews, reports, scientific papers, what the law says in good practices around Spain, Europe, whatever. Yeah. So diversity of resources. The second tip will be the interdisciplinary approach to the topic. Topic is not only law, but that all has to do with sociology, economic. So different perspectives must be taken into account, not only the law one, but also sociological, economical perspective, and so on. And the third one would be interdisciplinarity in the partners involved. It has to have different institutions with opposite views, different views about the topic, so that if we have this diversity of resources, interview, report, and so on, and just to have this picture, from taking account all this, then in order to analyze this, you need this interdisciplinarity, and then you have the diversity of partners. Then you have with everything, you have a clear image of the topic. So I think it worked for us.
Thank you very much to Tit and to Hector. And I think that we don't have any more questions, and we also perfectly on time. So maybe we can close now. And please remember to register to the next 2 appointments that we have, the 3rd of July and the 16th. And I think that thank you very much to all of you to be here with us today and to share with us all this valuable experience.
Thank
you
you
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you.